17-year-old GISMA AHMED has been missing school for a week. She was injured during protests in Nyala, in South Darfur less than 2 weeks ago. GISMA says the school released them early because of a shortage of bread. Students from other schools protested, then things turned violent.
There were boys burning tyres during the protests. The soldiers were firing tear gas at them and they were throwing the canisters back at the soldiers. We ran and took a turn and found soldiers mounted on pickup trucks. Some of them fired live ammunition. One of the bullets hit my foot.
According to activists here, at least half a dozen students were injured in the 2 days the protests lasted. They were also angry about the lack of fuel. These shortages are the same issues that led to the months-long nationwide protests that forced President Omar al-Bashir from power. The military took over earlier this year until a transitional power-sharing agreement was signed in August with protest leaders in Khartoum. But more than 6 weeks after the deal, those in Nyala say any changes are yet to be seen and felt. It wasn't just bread and fuel shortages that brought people out to protest. Here in Nyala, as in many other cities in Sudan, there are growing calls for state governors to be dismissed. They were appointed earlier this year by former President Omar al-Bashir, and people say that the fact they're still in power means the old regime hasn't gone away. Activists in Nyala say there have been repeated incidents of violence in the state, already marred by conflict. They say dozens have been shot by armed men in the past year, and that no action has been taken against the attackers. South Darfur's governor admits more needs to be done to provide security.
No one can tell people not to protest. That's a right granted to them in the Transitional Constitution Agreement. We've secured bread and fuel for the people now. But we admit we are weak when it comes to security because we have a lot of counties and not enough security forces. We have spoken to the Sovereign Council about that, and they've pledged to increase security forces so people will feel safe.
According to the transitional deal, all the military governors appointed in February are to be replaced by civilian governors. Until that happens, Nyala's Resistance Committee, which organized the protests, says it will educate the city's residents about their rights.
Activists in Nyala say there have been repeated incidents of violence in the state already marred by conflict. They say dozens have been shot by armed men in the past and that no action has been taken against the attackers.
GISMA says she knows her rights and was focusing on that when she went to school the day she was injured. She wants to know why there were bullets fired when those protesting had been unarmed and only demanding bread and the change they've been promised. Hiba, Al Jazeera, Nyala, South Darfur.